Hello children and welcome back to Story Time with Eric. Today we're going to talk about a brand I'm not too much of a fan of anymore, and sorry the white balance is definitely off on this, and the exposure is too. There's a lot of weird stuff going. It's something with this lamp in the room where phones just never know what to do in this part of the house. But if I shine this light on my hand, then it'll kind of get better, and then I turn it off again, and then it... Oh well. Anyway, today we're going to talk about a brand that I recommend people stay away from, and it's one that you'll often find recommended. You see a lot of ads for them, and a lot of people are like, yeah, they're pretty good, they make decent stuff. And yeah, you know, when you go from a store-bought flashlight from your local, you know, home improvement store or grocery store or whatever, you get the light at the checkout lane. Maybe it's $20, maybe it's $2. Well, probably not $2. It's probably at least $5 because, you know, we like making things more expensive. But when you step up from something like that, yeah, Olight is a very good brand compared to that. But when you look at Olight even years ago when they were a better company than they are now, and you compare them to other manufacturers that are in the same price range, then Olight's not really the best thing ever anymore. Actually, they're far from it. Not to say they're terrible, but they're not great. I've spent many thousands of dollars on different lights from different companies, seeing what's out there, and it's all of my own personal money. I'm not sponsored by anyone. Unlike pretty much every Olight video that is sponsored, paid for, and they tell the reviewer to say how amazing the thing is, and they hide all the problems. So my videos are not fancy. They never were. They probably never will be. That's never been my goal for this channel. But I'm going to be one of the few people on YouTube these days who's going to be brutally honest, and when something sucks, I'm just going to come right up to you and say it. And Olight, to be honest, they kind of suck compared to the competition. Now, let's go back several years here and talk about kind of how the brand used to be. Now, Olight was never the best of the best in terms of the enthusiast brands or durability. They never were. But they were one of the better enthusiast brands. Now, enthusiast flashlight brands were never the best for durability or self-defense or anything like that, and I don't recommend wasting your time with them if that's what you're looking for. But if you wanted a light that was reliable, durable enough for everyday drops here and there, that had a lot of modes, really good performance, good output and run times, enthusiast brands were kind of the place to go for that. Now, there are different levels. I'm not saying you need to have Audril 2, but and Olights don't have that kind of user interface, but they were one of the better brands. They were never quite on the level of some other ones, but they were one of the nicer ones. And they were reasonably priced, and they were reliable. And I have a lot of Olights that are older from before the company changed, and they run on standard user replaceable batteries, not weird 3-terminal goofiness, no proprietary chargers. They're very, and you know, they're reliable lights. I've had them for many years. The older Olights were never number one. Olight as a brand never was and never will be number one at anything. But they were one of the nicer ones if performance and features were what you were looking for. And that changed. And, you know, their Type 3 hard anodizing was never the greatest, still isn't. Their 6061 T6 aluminum alloy was never the greatest and still isn't, but it has gotten a little bit better than it used to be. But unfortunately, all the stuff on the inside, and you know what they say, it's what's on the inside that counts, that stuff got worse. So My uncle's had Olights fail. I've had Olights fail. Out of all the lights that I have, the thousands of dollars of lights that I have, the only ones that have ever failed are from Olight. And they didn't fail because I threw them off the top of a skyscraper or anything like that. They just killed themselves. It just mysteriously stopped working. No warning at all. It was never dropped. It was never exposed to any extreme temperatures or humidity changes. One of them, my super durable Warrior X Pro, which is, I hate Pro, it's a stupid marketing gimmick, and if you want a light for defense, don't buy that one. Buy one from a company that knows what they're doing. That's probably as close as Olight will ever get to that, but it's far from what other manufacturers have been doing for quite some time. Not just in durability, but user interface and all that. And unfortunately, today, reliability. That's kind of what we're talking about. My super durable Warrior X Pro that did nothing but sit on my nightstand that I had for only 2 years, that has never once been dropped or exposed to anything even remotely extreme, no chemicals, not even soap. It just, without warning, stopped one day. It started malfunctioning and died in my hands. So, yeah, and it wasn't a battery. The battery was fine. Charger was fine. And here's the other problem. It's not just Olight's subpar reliability. And we'll talk about another Olight that's failed in a bit, or another 2 maybe. We're trying to keep this video a little short, but the other problem I've had with Olight is their customer service isn't the best. It's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. And that's the problem with Olight. It's all marketing. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but for the same amount of money, you can do better. So this flashlight was $130, and I contacted Olight. I said, hey, this thing broke. Now, unlike other brands that I've worked with in the past where I don't even need any proof of purchase, I just contact them and say, hey, this thing, is this supposed to be like that? Or I'm missing this part. Someone forgot to ship it, whatever. I think my mom had one light from a different brand that it worked, but something was coming loose on it, and it was a little annoying, and we'd had to keep tightening it. And what we did in those situations was we contacted the manufacturer that wasn't Olight, and no proof of purchase needed. They responded immediately and said, we're so sorry about that. We're going to send you a brand new flashlight. It'll be in your house in 2 days. And it was. We didn't even need to send the old one back. We got a brand new one. My mom's been using that one ever since. It's been many, many years now. Now, what Olight did is they had me fill out a form, give them the serial number, show them proof of purchase to make sure that I actually bought the light, and then I had to pay for return shipping. Now, I spent extra on UPS because the postal service in this country sucks and always has, or at least as long as I've known them. And they're just really bad, and I wanted to make sure that this thing would actually make it there and not get lost or stolen, because there's a lot of thieves in the post office. There's also a lot of thieves in TSA. Those are 2 very low-level government jobs that a lot of thugs like working in. But I spent extra money on UPS to make sure it got there, and I required a signature. And it did get there. UPS confirmed it, and Olight confirmed it. And I know the name of the person who signed for that package. The weeks went by. My $130 flashlight was down somewhere, and I think it was Arizona or something. I forgot where it was. Somewhere in the States. It took a long time. She said, hey, we got the light. We're going to have our technician look at it. We're going to repair it. Okay, well, that kind of sucks. They're just going to repair the light. They're not going to replace any part of the light. That's the thing. When a light doesn't fail because you dropped it really, really hard over and over again, when there's no obvious cause for the problem, it just failed for no real reason at all, you hope that the other stuff on the circuit board isn't just going to randomly fail too. And when you repair it, there is no guarantee that that's not going to happen in a year. So I wasn't too thrilled about that, but I was like, okay, well, something's better than nothing, I guess. So the weeks went by. Then it was over a month, and I contacted them. I said, "Hey, am I ever gonna get my flashlight back? I haven't heard anything from you guys in a while. What's going on?" "Oh yeah, so sorry about that. We don't have a lot of people. Whatever." Lights are acting weird. So I finally get the thing back, but there was a huge hiccup along the way. So the light that I got back wasn't mine. They shipped it back to me after I spent extra on UPS shipping. They did not reimburse me for that. That's not what they do. They cheaped out again, and after they repaired it and didn't replace it or replace any part of the light, they shipped it with the United States Postal Service. Stupid mistake. Guess what? The thing never arrived. More weeks went by. I contacted the post office. I contacted Olight. "Oh, I don't know what's... No one knew what was going on." Then eventually they're like, "Oh, it was lost in the mail." I think it was stolen. That's usually how it goes. But they conveniently say it's lost, and no one bothers to verify that. So it's their own little stupid government thing they've got going on in those buildings. But it was stolen. They say it was lost. Maybe it was. Highly unlikely. But one way or another, I didn't get the light back. So contacted Olight. "Oh, so sorry about that. Yeah, it looks like it got lost in the mail. We'll send you a new one." "Oh, you mean like what you should have done the first time around?" Okay, so I finally got the new one. But here's the other problem I have with Olight. Before we get into the next terrible customer service story, their proprietary batteries and chargers. Those have a lot of disadvantages. One, they're disposable. Whenever you have a proprietary battery, even if it's replaceable, it's only good if the company decides to not discontinue it and the company doesn't go out of business, and you're able to order it in time and you don't need it right now. So in temperature extremes, lithium-ion batteries don't work well, and in some cases don't work at all. Older Olights used to be able to use other types of batteries too, including ones that would work in extreme temperatures. They no longer have that ability. Now you're only able to use a lithium-ion battery, which would normally be okay, not preferred, but the other problem is it's proprietary. So for the same amount of money, you can buy a light from a different company that has better customer service, better reliability, just better quality all around, and it's not disposable. You could use whatever battery you want. You could put batteries in a cradle charger, swap them out. So if the battery dies, you don't need to sit there and charge it inside the light for 4 hours before you're able to use it again. Because if you need to do a job now, you need to be able to swap a battery. And it's nice when you have a cradle charger with a bunch of batteries, or get whatever battery is ready to go at the moment. You don't have that ability with Olight, but you do have that ability with every other manufacturer. The other problem, besides the inconvenience of the temperatures and also not being able to just swap cells, is batteries wear out over time. And when they do, and when Olight discontinues that battery, and they will, like they've discontinued many of their products, including many of which that are not even very old, guess what? Your $130 light is just a stupid paperweight. So unlike every other light I have that will live on, and many of which have already outlived Olights, when your Olight dies, you need to buy a new one. And that's stupid. So it's not just the inconvenience, it's the planned obsolescence. Now that we've covered that and how lousy that system is, and by the way, if magnetic charging is really important to you, if it's just this super duper awesome feature that's very important in your life, guess what? Other brands have the same thing, but without the proprietary crap mixed in and the planned obsolescence. So look elsewhere. But on to the next, most recent Olight customer service story. So my mom had an i5T EOS, which everyone just calls the i5T. It lived in her purse. It was never dropped. Just like the other one is properly cleaned and lubricated. There's no corrosion on the inside or anything like that. This one lasted a little longer. I give him credit. It went for 5 years. And then it failed. No warning. It just kind of started acting stupid and then didn't turn on at all after that. Put a bunch of new batteries in there that worked in other lights from other brands. It did not work in the Olight. So Contacted them, went through the same crap all over again. Form, serial number, proof of purchase, when did you buy it, whatever. Okay, so sorry about that. We'll send you a replacement. Okay, so it looks like with the cheaper $30 flashlight, Olight will send a replacement. With the $130 one, they won't bother because it costs them more money. But I figured, okay, fine. We're getting a replacement. Maybe this time Olight will make things right, right? No, not exactly. It is still Olight. So what happened is they sent us a used replacement. It had a little bit of dirt on it, and it had a lot more gunk on the inside. It had a big ding on the bezel. I was kind of shocked that they stooped that low. And the worst part about it was not only was it used and beat up and not even clean, it didn't even work out of the box. I got videos of this. I took some pictures just in case Olight would call us all a bunch of liars. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, I've never had a company that did something like this before. So we contacted them again. It took 3 weeks to get the used broken replacement in the mail. Now we're contacting them a second time for the same light that they should have just fixed from day one. And this time, like, you know what? Let's just ask for something cheaper because they're not going to have the i5T. It's discontinued. You can't find them secondhand either. So instead of getting a return, we'll get a cheaper one, I guess. We'll get the lower, the less expensive i3T. Surely they could send that, right? And they did. It took another 2 or 3 weeks or so to get this stupid thing in, but it finally came in, and this one is actually new and works. But that's a lot of, every time I've worked with them, it's back and forth, and sending emails. And my uncle's had a lot of Olights fail too. And that's the thing. Again, the Olights are the only ones that have failed. Now, here's another light. This is the same price as my mom's little i5T that crapped out on her, and it's just as old, but this has been used a lot more. And it's been exposed to things that are not what you would have in a purse, all right? Concrete dust, sawdust, water, probably a little bit of salt too, because we do work with that. All sorts of junk. It works just fine every single time. There's low mode, medium mode, wonderful. This isn't made by Olight, though, and that's why it still works. So don't buy Olight. They were never the best. They never will be. And for the same amount of money, you can go with another manufacturer that kind of knows what they're doing and just buy it from them. And now, this isn't my favorite enthusiast brand. This would probably be my second or third favorite pick, but still better than Olight. But if performance is super important to you and you're kind of within that $100 or less price range for most of your lights, go with a Phoenix. Phoenix has always been better than Olight. Their anodizing is better than Olight. The aluminum is better than Olight. The reliability is a heck of a lot better than Olight. And they actually monitor the temperature in real time and adjust accordingly instead of just having a stupid timer-based step down like Olight does. They have reverse polarity protection that Olights don't have. They have all this great stuff that you will not find in an Olight. And whenever you do, it's always done better in the Phoenix anyway. There's other brands too, but they get more expensive. But if you don't need a light that's built to withstand being thrown off the top of a skyscraper, but you need it to be tough and reliable, just buy a Phoenix. Don't get hung up on the lumen levels. It's less important than candela, and it's one of the least important things in a flashlight. And the other thing is, I've had 2 Olights that have gone from 2,000-something lumens to 0 lumens when they eventually fail, or the other one that was like 300 lumens or whatever it was and went down to 0 lumens when it eventually failed. And my uncle's had at least 2 that were 1,200 lumens and failed. So if you're going to end up with 0 lumens anyway, then it's not really brighter, is it? So buy a Phoenix. Don't buy an Olight. If you want other lights for self-defense or something else, those are other brands that make that, not Phoenix. We'll talk about that another day. Or maybe buy a Nightcore, depending on the model. I don't like their built-in battery things, but MT-06MD is great. Really is. High color rendering index here. Photobiologically safe. That's a fun word to say. Still works, unlike the Olight that died. Pretty good. Really, really good. Yeah, that's all for this one. Buy a real flashlight from a company that cares. See you next time.